obvious thing that I learned is that online success comes down to two main factors, okay? And this might seem really obvious for some of you, but the fact is it's traffic and conversions. And I know that sounds kind of obvious, kind of basic, but the fact is a lot of people overcomplicate this and they're like, oh, what should I do here? What should I do? What should I do there? But really, it's traffic and conversions are the two skill sets that you want to master. And I'm going to talk about these as we go forward here. So now how did I master traffic and conversions? So I had 5 breakthroughs, okay, that took a lot of time and money to find out. And I'm just going to give them to you right now so that hopefully you guys can jump ahead of the learning curve a bit. So breakthrough number 1 was realizing that paid traffic isn't risky. Now that might go in the, go in the face of what a lot of people say, but I'm here to tell you that paid traffic is not risky. So this used to be me. This is my famous scared turtle diagram that I ripped from Google. But so this used to be me buying paid traffic, really scared to lose any money and that sort of thing. Now here's a way to have surefire success. This was actually a tip that I picked up from Jonathan Van Kloot, and I think it was on an OfferVault webinar as well. These are the only real outcomes of any campaign that you can get, okay? You can have either a big gain, a little loss, and a big loss. Again, some obvious stuff, but this was my first real breakthrough, because sometimes when you're in the box, guys, and you're working every day on offers, you don't really know which way to go. Sometimes the most obvious things slip through your fingers. So on a long enough timeline, the little gain and the little loss, those are the two that end up canceling each other out, okay? Some days, you might profit a couple bucks here and there, and then some days you might lose a couple bucks here and there. So on a long enough timeline, those will cancel out. So it's the big loss, essentially, that we need to avoid at all costs, okay? And then done properly, all you're left with is the big gain. Sounds obvious, right? So how do we avoid the big losses? Well, the first thing that I see a lot of beginners and myself, the wrong thing that they're doing is they run their campaigns emotionally. And the fact is, you have to have no emotion when you're doing this stuff. This isn't gambling. I want to say one thing here real quick. A way to stop running your campaigns emotionally is to have a second source of income. I have a lot of people, they quit their jobs and then they want to learn PPC or online marketing or whatever else, CPA marketing, and they say, okay, Chad, I need to make $1,000 a month by next month, or I'm going to be kicked out of my house. Well, how are you supposed to run a non-emotional campaign and look at your campaign objectively when you have that sort of pressure on you? So first thing I would say, guys, myself and some of the other biggest income earners I know, like 5-figure per day income earners, these guys, we started by still having a job during the day, and we'd come home at night and work 4 to 5 hours on our business and start building it up from there. I usually say until you have like 6 months saved up, 3 to 6 months saved up of what you'd normally make in your job, don't go quitting your job. So that's my disclaimer right there, so FTC doesn't come after me. But the next thing that I had to realize was that, and you guys got to realize it too, is that killing a campaign does not mean you're a failure. So this is kind of like Tony Robbins type stuff, but too many people think that if they pause a campaign, that it just means that they're a failure and they're never going to get it. Okay, so that what they do is they keep the campaign running, keep pouring money into it, hoping that they get a conversion. Well, hope isn't really a plan, okay? So you guys got to understand that. You also got to know that not every campaign is going to be a winner, okay? The nature of direct response marketing, which is what any of us do in CPA marketing, is direct response marketing. The nature of direct response is to fail. And if more often than not, you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed. But if you know how to keep your big losses in check, your big wins will far and away make up for any losses you had. So just like not every SEO campaign's a winner. So some of you guys out there might be into search engine optimization, SEO, writing articles, that sort of stuff. But in my opinion, I say, why don't you find out now versus way later whether or not a campaign's a winner, right? Does that make sense? So paid traffic's a lot faster. We can get our results a lot quicker, and we can see if we have potential or not that much faster. Read data, know data, and emotions take a back seat, okay? I'll talk about some thresholds to look at in your campaigns today, but that's all you really have to look at. The data tells you everything, and that's really all you have to look at. So again, don't spend and hope. What we do is we test small and we roll out big. Rolling out big is scaling. Everybody's got to have a scaling strategy in place, whether it's in the offers that we use, in the traffic sources that we use. So that's always what I like to say. Test small, roll out big. Which leads me to breakthrough number 2, bid high, budget low. Now, this was a tip that I actually picked up from a guy named Tommy Powers, and I think it was on an OfferVault webinar again. Like I said, I learned a lot from these webinars like you guys are going to today. And bid high, budget low. So most paid traffic systems are an auction to some extent, okay? So typically the guy who pays the most to an extent is rewarded. So that's kind of obvious for most of us who have run traffic. So what we want to do is, the reason we want to bid high is we want to bid competitively for reach and placement. Okay, reach is our ability to get a hold of the eyeballs of our prospects, and placement is positioning on the page. In certain traffic sources like Google AdWords, for example, works in that sort of system. Facebook, to an extent, works like that, but Facebook's a little bit different. But what we want to do is we want to budget low for our wallet. So we don't want to bid high, but also budget high, and then be out 100, 200 bucks overnight if that's a lot of money to you, right? So we want to avoid that. This is the way it's been for years, and in my opinion, it's going to continue this way. The bid high, budget low works on the majority of platforms. So what is bid high and budget low? What about some actual numbers? Well, for you guys out there that are on a tight budget, typically I say having a budget of $20 per day and running it for 5 days or so. Usually that's going to give you a decent amount of data. Obviously, it can vary from platform to platform, but with the exception of some of the more expensive traffic sources out there, this tends to work for me everywhere, whether it's Google, Bing, Facebook, Plenty of Fish. CPV traffic, it can still work like that, but it can be a little a little dodgy. You sometimes want a bigger budget daily for CPV traffic. So $20 per day budget, running it for 5 days, tends to give me a fair amount of data. In the beginning, don't expect to make tons of money in the first 5 days, but what we're doing there is trying to see if anything's working for us, giving us sales, giving us conversions. So now why does this work? So bidding higher gives us premium reach, while budgeting low keeps us within our constraints, okay? A bigger budget means faster data. That's simply all it is. You can either spend that $100 right there over, over a month and take a long time to get your data that you need, or you can spend it over a week. Or if you're really comfortable and you have a big budget, you could spend it in a day and run it for 5 days for 500 bucks. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense for everybody. So breakthrough number 3, the 3 kings of traffic. So these are probably some of the more important breakthroughs here. What are the 3 kings? So the first 2 breakthroughs, what they did is they helped me understand a couple details that I was messing up, right? So not being emotional running the campaigns, bid high, budget low, just kind of basic stuff that helped me get a lot of traction. But it wasn't until I really learned and mastered the 3 kings is when I really took my marketing in general to another level. So what are they? So if you master these 3, before I tell you what they are, if you master these 3, whether you're an affiliate marketer or a product developer, you're going to write your own checks, okay? So if you're in CPA marketing, if you want to be an offer creator, you got to know these 3. So king number 1 is your market, okay? Not enough guys ask themselves, who am I marketing to? Okay. Now, if you want longevity on different traffic sources, then you're going to know your demographics, not just the keywords. Too many guys go into just keyword marketing, and then once they want to get into large media buys or even Facebook, that sort of thing, they can't really perform as well because it's not keyword based necessarily, it's demographic based. Okay, so the first thing is, who am I marketing to? I prefer large markets, not obscure niches, okay? Typically health, wealth, and relationships, those are the ones that can make you a millionaire. Now, the thing about this is too many people are like, well, large markets are too competitive. I can't compete in there. So that brings me to splinter to avoid heavy competition. So splintering means one of my very, very first successful campaigns, I use this one as an example, the get ripped niche, the young guys between 18 and 30, 18, 24 that want to get ripped, okay, which is getting ripped is basically